Sisters United Outreach Ministry is proud to present Let's Talk Family, a woman, men, and family-centered TV ministry. This ministry addresses the whole person mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually throughout educational development, interpersonal relationships, and provide community resources.
Welcome to another segment of Let's Talk Family. I'm Sister Ann Allen.
And I'm Sister Good. Hello.
I'm Sister Edie. Good evening.
I'm Bob Sisler. Hi.
We are so blessed that you have tuned into our broadcast. We thank you so much. At this time, before we begin our show, we always like to give reverence to God, because in God we live, we move, we have our very being. At this time, we're going to ask Sister Good if she will lead us into a word of prayer. And then from there, we'll have Sister Edie over there. She's going to bring you our sponsors.
All right. Will you go with me to the Lord in your own way? Oh, gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we are so blessed to be here this afternoon.
Amen.
And we're blessed to have you out there supporting us.
Mm-hmm.
I ask the Lord that he gives special blessings to all of your homes, all your family members, all the sick, whatever problem you're having. I'm asking the Lord to just lift the burden off of you. And I'm also asking a special blessing this afternoon for two of my friends, one in the hospital, Miss Barbara Nelson, and Liz Gregory, her and her family. Mm-hmm. Father, I'm asking that you do a special watch on them, because Barbara Nelson is suffering, Lord, and she do need your help. Oh, gracious and kind Heavenly Father, take care of us as well, Father,
Amen.
as we try to bring the resources that is so badly needed to all of our families out there. Father, because we are all a family, because we are all from you. Mm-hmm. So, Father, I ask that you give us the words and the knowledge to give to someone else, Father. Bless us all in a special way, Father. These blessings I ask in your holy and divine name. Amen and amen.
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 Also, we want to thank God for the special guests. We have special guests out in the audience. We thank you so much. If you would like to come down and be a part of our audience, you can do so. 14001 Linwood Avenue, Church of Christ. You can come in, sit in on the audience as well. Now, if you would like to talk to us today, we want you to call in, because we have a special topic, the right to work. What does that mean? We're going to explain that today to you. If you have any questions, we want you to call in. That telephone number is 313-615-6323. Again, that number is 313-615-6323. At this time, we're going to have Miss Edie bring us words from our sponsors.
Good evening. And now here's important information that will put you in touch with more data about our program. Number one, Brown Cross is the ministry of Metro Central Church, who reaches out to our world with the messages of faith, located at 4455 Barham Street in Detroit, Michigan. And the number you can contact them is 313-640-9970. Wednesday night Bible class at 7 o'clock p.m. Bible class Sunday at 9:45 a.m. and a Sunday service held at 11 o'clock p.m. And then we have the Next Church of Christ, which is Linwood, at 14001 Linwood Street. Minister Donnell Stewart. Come and visit us at Linwood Church and be blessed. Located again at 14001 Linwood in Detroit, Michigan. You can contact them at 313-868-7795. Wednesday night service is at 7 o'clock p.m. Sunday early service held at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock p.m. Our next church is Liberty City Church of Christ, located at 10624 East Jefferson in Detroit, Michigan. And we have Wednesday night service at 7 o'clock p.m. We have Sunday early service at 9:45 a.m. And then we have Sunday service held at 11 o'clock. Then we have Minister Mark Thompson. And the number you can contact them is 313-898-2016. The number you can contact them is 313-898-2016. 2016. Then we have Standard Rehabilitation Incorporated, located at 15785 Livernois in Detroit, Michigan, zip code 48328. And they have all HMOs, Medicare, for example, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and so on. The treatments for fractures, auto injuries, chronic, acute pain, neck and back pain, and work-related injuries, stress-related injuries. Again, you can call them at 313-934-2623. The number again for Dr. Bello. The number is 313-934-2623. They open Monday through Friday from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m., Saturdays also. And then we're going to move on. Last but not least, we have Sister United that also sponsored this program. We are a family center ministry. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us at 313-615-6323. Again, our number is 313-615-6323. And our website is sisterunitedoutreach.org. You can donate through sisterunitedoutreach.org. Also, going on to Let's Talk Family is on the internet at www.motowngospelradio.com. Again, Let's Talk Family is on the internet at www.motowngospelradio.com. Saturday, 6 o'clock live, which is now. Comcast on Fridays on Channel 20 at 11 o'clock a.m. Again, Comcast on Fridays, Channel 20 at 11 o'clock a.m. And again, you can donate through sisterunitedoutreach.org. Again, sisterunitedoutreach.org. And I would like to thank you, and let's start the show.
Before we start the show, we've covered all of the aches and pains and sponsors and all the psychological and all the ministry. But we left one sponsor for me, I guess because it's my pet peeve. The Hurley Veterinarian Dog and Cat Hospital. We got to include the pets too. So we got a sponsor that help you with your pets. Dr. Morale is the doctor there. They're located on Livernois in Chippewa. And their hours are from 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday. And they have weekend hours, but I'm going to give you a phone number. So when you call that phone number, you can speak with some of the staff, and they'll tell you the weekend hours that they have. Mm-hmm. They also have an emergency number for you if your pet gets sick and the offices are closed. Remember, we're trying to cover the whole gamut here. That's why we got the pets too. And I want to make sure that your pets are covered because I know how much I care about mine. The phone number is 863-5350. 313-863-5350. The doctor there is Dr. Morales. He have a full staff. He does everything. Groom the pets, feed the pets, board the pets, and make certain that they are healthy. So if you're trying to keep a pet, make certain that that pet is just as healthy as you are, because you don't want anyone there that's not healthy and the pet can't talk. Remember that. So call Dr. Morales and get this pet in good shape. You need his shots, need the rabies shots, and need his license. So make sure you think about the pet while you're thinking about everything else. Okay? I think they want me to tell you about this Sisters of a United Ministry sponsoring the talent show. Mm-hmm. Okay? That talent show has already kicked off. The ages of 17 on down. Make certain that if you have kids or friends, family, or you know someone that have someone that is talented enough and they want to exhibit it, they want to display it, they want you to know what God has given them. And I'm surely looking forward to it. So that talent show will be, the auditions are, make sure with this blind paper here. The UAW Center on Livernois Avenue, they will be also doing the audition. And that, you got to make sure before you can get an audition now, that you call or go through our website. You can't call, you got to go through the website, because the deadline is the 28th of April to get your application back in. Now remember what they said. Don't call April the 28th for the application. Have it back in before April 28th. So I suggest if you haven't called now, start calling. You know, you just start calling. Use the website to get this information. And Ms. Allen is going to give you this website, because I have an awful lot of problems looking at this website with this color paper. So, and I want to make sure you get it correctly. So, and I don't want to mess you up either. I want to make sure you know that you got to go on this website to get the application. If you can sing, dance, blow a hop, blow your hands, any talent that you feel you have, we want to hear it. Because we know God made us so talented, all of us. He gave us all gifts. And we want to see your gift, okay? And want you to audition.
Okay, now the website is www.sistersunitedoutreach.org. And you're going to click on home page. It'll say home, www. And go to contact us. And you can complete an application. And we'll get it from there, okay? We'll secure it from there. Again, I'm going to give it to you again. www.sistersunitedoutreach.org. Now you click on home, www. And then go to contact us. And just complete the application. That's all you have to do. Now if there's an emergency now, like I said, if there's an emergency, you can contact this number. 248-796-7601. But we want you to complete the application. Again, that telephone number, and in case of emergencies, you really have some questions. 248-796-7601. Only during emergency time. And don't forget, the deadline is April the 20th, like Sister Good said.
20th, yeah.
And when are
April
the
the 20th.
auditions? What are
The
the actual
audition
times?
is May the 23rd.
No, it's, the audition is May the 3rd at 5 p.m. And Saturday,
Oh, okay.
May the 4th.
Okay.
May
Okay.
the 4th at 9.
So the audition is May 3rd at 5 p.m.
Okay?
and Saturday, May 4th at 9 a.m. Again, the auditions is Friday, May 3rd at 5 p.m. and Saturdays, May 4th at 9 a.m. Okay?
But must I have an application completed to do the audition?
Must.
Well, we need you to at least do the application. Just go on the site, okay? Unless they're extenuating circumstances. But we want you to have an application on site.
Amen.
I'll call that number, 248-796-7601. Just leave your name and telephone number and let us know, okay? Deadline, April the 20th. Okay? Okay, now we need to start. Oh, you have one more person. Okay.
One more announcement. Michigan Alliance to Strengthen Social Security and Medicare is going to have an open forum on Tuesday, April 16th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. It's going to be at Sacred Heart Church, which is on Mac and I-75. It's right behind the McDonald's restaurant there. There's secure parking. There will be refreshments. And at 7 o'clock, there's going to be a presentation given by an attorney who deals with Social Security rights. That is his whole business. And so that we have a good idea of what Social Security is all about, what disability is about, how you apply, what are some of the barriers, and how you can get around the barriers when you need to access your Social Security rights. Then we're going to have someone from AARP Michigan come and talk to us about Medicare. Many people are on Medicare and they have a lot of questions now with some of the changes that are taking place, and this is what we will be talking about. Probably also being asked to contact Washington to tell them not to touch it. Also, we will have somebody who works with Medicaid. This is the safety net for people who cannot afford regular insurance coverage. And we are having Sister Mary Ellen Howard come and talk to us about that. What she has done for years is to operate a free clinic in Southwest Detroit. So those are the 3 guest speakers. Come out April 16th, 7 o'clock. Thank you.
At Standard Rehabilitation Incorporated, located at 15785 Livernois in Detroit, we can take care of your rehabilitation needs. Dr. Bellows and his staff of healthcare professionals have extensive experience in rehabilitation and pain management. Our services include treatment for fractures, auto injuries, chronic and acute pain, work and stress-related injuries, just to list a few. Transportation is available. Dr. Bellows is standing by to service you at Standard Rehabilitation Incorporated.
Okay, now we're back to the show. A right to work in the state of Michigan. So, Robert Sisler, he's going to talk about that, and we all going to come in on it. We want you to call in. The telephone number is 313-615-6323. Let us know what you feel about. How did we become a right to work state anyway?
So we do have to remind them we was going to have Mr. Gamble here. We know we told you that, and if you wrote it down and you're saying Sizzler and Gambler, you're trying to get these names together here.
Right.
But Mr. Gamble couldn't make it, and we regret that. But we got Mr. Sizzle, who is just as active and just as knowledgeable of what's going on with the UAW. So he's going to answer the question.
Welcome to the call. Go ahead, caller. You have a question or a comment?
Question?
Yes. What's your question?
I would like to know, how did we become a right to work state, and what is actually the definition of it?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. What does right to work mean? When we talk about becoming a right to work state, it means that if you are covered by a union, you can have union representation without having to pay for that service. So what ends up happening, let's say if I belong to the health club, what this law has done is said, okay, you belong to this health club, and from now on, only people who want to have to pay their bill.
Okay.
The Michigan Business Association, if you do not pay your annual fees, you cannot belong to it. They said, well, if I want to work, I should be able to just go there to work without paying the fees. Well, wait a minute. If you decided to take that job on, then you've agreed to pay the fees. It's like if you belong to a housing development and they have annual fees or monthly fees as part of your apartment or your townhouse fees. You pay them because you get services in return. What this is saying is you can belong to that without paying the fees. Let me give you an example. If, for example, I'm looking for a job and I go to Myers or I go to Sam's Club, or Walmart. Why do I go to Myers over Walmart? Because I know, number one, they have benefits, they have a union, and I'm going to be treated in a fair way. I may end up at Walmart, but I would rather have the job at a place where there's a union representation. How many more people want to get a job either at Kroger's, Myers, Costco, versus a place like Walmart or Sam's Club? And the reason is you get better benefits and you're guaranteed a job.
Okay, so
Okay, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay,
thank you for calling. Thank you for calling.
thank you.
I think reason she was holding on because she asked another part. How do we become a right? What is a right to work?
Okay, so how do we become that?
Yes.
Okay, what it means is that if right now I'm working for a company, and that company is a union company, right now, because I joined that company, I pay for that representation.
That's right.
And when I pay for that representation, I pay that through my union dues. What has happened now is after that contract comes up for renewal, I can choose not to pay those dues, but yet the union will still be asked to support me.
Represent you.
Now, one of the things that I heard Mr. Gamble talk about is he said, yes, when we pay union dues, we put into what we call a strike fund. Well, guess what's going to happen? If you have a company that's not negotiating with you and they decide to go on strike, there'll be no strike fund because you're not paying the dues to have the strike fund. You follow? So it will end up impacting your ability to force the company to really negotiate with you as a person, as a man. And one thing I have to point out, because this is the 50th year of the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King did not die in Tennessee because he was trying to support civil rights at the time. What he was trying to do was to call for justice in the workplace.
That's right.
He was calling for municipal employees to be treated equal as human beings with being given a decent wage to live on. That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things from that event is when the municipal employees, the trash haulers at the time, were walking, they all wore T-shirts that said, "I am a man," and they wanted that dignity and respect. That's what unions do for you. It gives you the dignity and respect that when I'm talking to the boss, I'm just as important as he is. I'm a human being.
Now,
And that's what we're losing. Go ahead.
now, who voted for a right to work?
Nobody voted for it. In fact, what happened, there was a proposal on the ballot where we could have stopped this effort. But but the people, and I was up north when they were running these ads, and what the ad said was that there is no need for unions. The governor has said that he is not for right to work. Why are you acting this way? He said he's not going to push for right to work. And guess what? This is only the union bosses trying to make some money and make sure that they have this big pot of money to live on. That's what the article said. I mean, that's what the advertisement was. Well, here's the truth. Yes, the union bosses wanted to make sure that you had money in the pots. Why? To work for you, to make sure that they could represent you. Think about it. We didn't get 40 hours a week because the company decided that they wanted 40 hours a week. It was us giving monies to the union, paying our union dues, that got the unions to advocate on a legal basis to make a federal law that you work 40 hours a week before overtime has to kick in. The unions have fought for the 40-hour week. They have fought for equal pay for women and men. They have fought for equal pay for equal work. They have fought that we could have holidays and have time off from work. And yet, people think, oh, that's the boss just wanted to give you that. It didn't happen that way. That is not what our history tells us. The history tells us we had to fight for it. And you pay those union dues in order to make that happen.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
How will this impact our community, families, and the employers?
Well, let's first go to the community. How is this going to impact the community?
Okay.
Well, if people are smart enough, they won't stop paying their dues. And therefore, it may not impact the community at all. But if they think that, oh, I can get by without paying this month, and the legislation makes it more and more difficult for people to pay their dues,
Okay.
then we could be in problems. And how could we be in the problems? We won't have people out there advocating for what's right and wrong.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
One of the other things that I should point out is that this right to work was done at the lame duck session. It was passed through real quick. Governor Snyder had indicated he didn't want to do it. He was approached both by the Koch brothers and DeVos. Remember, DeVos had wanted to run for governor. They approached him, and it was widely known that they told him if he did not sign this legislation, they would run a candidate against him and make sure that he could not be reelected on the Republican side. So this was not, these two groups of people are business people. We didn't vote DeVos in because we realized that he was not for the common person. He was for big business. So that's why we didn't vote him in, but yet he was going to use his money and his power to bring this right to work legislation to the state of Michigan.
Now, when is this supposed to be implemented? So can you tell the audience when is this going to affect?
It took
Right.
effect March 28th of this year, 2013.
Now,
So
here's
it
something
has
that
taken
took
effect.
effect. Now, what you're saying is that, and make sure you're listening out there, something that took effect and you don't even know when it came up on the bill, came on the ballot. We don't know if it was put on the ballot.
No,
It
it was not on the ballot.
Okay, it was not put on the ballot. So what we're doing is that more than Kwame here is doing corruption. And we all are getting the residual effect of it because things are happening in the closet. There's more things being done, and we don't get a chance to say yay or nay about what's going on. So
Well,
it's taking away all our rights.
And with this law, it's similar to the emergency manager law. We had voted as a state, not just the city of Detroit, but as a state, people voted against having the emergency manager imposed on a city. But yet during that lame duck session, they turned around and brought that legislation back to us. Let me tell you what happened with the governor. What happened with the governor and the legislation is that before March 28th, if you had a contract and it was in place, the right to work would not affect it until the end of that contract. So a number of places in the last few months were renegotiating their contracts so they could extend them for 3 or 4 years. There were 2 universities. One was Wayne State University, and the other one, I'm not certain which it was, but it was a major university that extended their contract for a number of years beyond March 28th, so the right to work legislation would not affect it. The legislation has said, our Lansing legislation has said, since you did that and obeyed the law, basically, but went around us because we wanted this to take effect, that they are going to take out millions of dollars from their budget. So they want to punish our children because someone was smart enough to find a way to help working people.
Oh, let's take this call. Oh, go ahead, caller.
Yes, I would like to know, what can we do now? I don't hear as much outrage about this bill. What can we as citizens do to try to have this law abolished? And what should we be doing in 2014?
Actually, what we do need to do is look at 2014. And you say 2014 because that is the year we will re-elect a new governor. We will re-elect new legislation to Lansing. And it's going to be our job to get into the community, let the people know that even though the Republicans claim that they do not want to have government, that they have imposed more government involvement in our daily lives that take away from common people and not protect the greater society. So therefore, what we have to do is get behind some good candidates for governor and for both the Senate and the House of Representatives in Lansing. We must do that. We must put some good people in there.
How are we going to find them?
Well,
You know, the good people that you're saying that we need to get behind. Is there some way that we can find these good people? Everybody seems to have their own agenda here.
Well, I think people better wake up and start listening.
That's right.
And listen very closely. Because I can tell you right now, had we had Governor Bonero versus
right.
Governor Snyder,
That's right.
things would be a lot different in this state. Number one, there wouldn't have been 180,000 people forced out of their houses in Detroit through the predatory lending that the banks had done. And what I'm saying is not a fallacy, because they've been fined billions of dollars for their practices, and there's been numbers of questions about why there haven't been criminal charges brought against the banks who have thrown innocent people out of their homes. Okay. Why do I say Bonero? Because Governor Bonero said he would stop foreclosures. He would have forced those banks to have to have dealt with the people in those homes. Snyder didn't do that.
Of course not.
Snyder created a system to begin to destroy the state.
Exactly.
He taxed people's pensions. He got rid of the movie industry. I know I mentioned this last week,
Yeah.
but since last week, I had an opportunity to talk to one of the state representatives. His name forgets me, but I'll come up with his name. I asked him how much did it cost the city of Detroit when the movie industry was not given those tax breaks. Do you know he told me? $50 million. $50 million a year.
Well, see, people really have to realize that in our today's society, regardless of it's just the mayor or it's just the governor, you have to vote for who you want in office.
That's right.
And
That's
that
right.
matters
That's
to what we doing in our society today.
I think that is the problem now,
Yeah,
ladies. We
that's
are
right.
voting for who we want.
No,
Or who we
everybody,
think we
everybody's
want.
not-
Or who
everybody's
we
not.
think we want. We don't
Because-
know these persons. We take them at whatever value they sit out there. And we got to check them out a little bit more. We try to go with
and
we
that's
know.
what we're going to do on our show.
We will.
Next
Amen.
people come in, we can have.
That's right.
Go ahead, Carla. Welcome to the show.
I'd like to ask, what will happen if the bill doesn't pass? How would that affect us?
It's already passed.
The bill has already passed. The question was, how can we get this stuff reversed? The way we're going to reverse it is with a different group of representatives, a different governor, different House, different Senate, that is for the people and not for business. Our problem is that, and I'm going to use this as an example, when we heard people talking about Verge Bonero, they kept saying, oh, the angry mayor from Lansing. And the news media picked that up, so that's what they were saying. Well, I was pretty mad too. I'm glad he was mad, because he was going to fight for us. But we thought he should be, oh, this nice business-looking guy, whatever. No, we don't need that. We need somebody who knows what it's like to live every day.
That's right.
What it's like to almost get your lights cut off and your gas cut down and these huge water bills that we get that don't make no sense.
And water bills.
So, I mean, that's what we're looking at. And then on top of all that, paying our part, to have a bank come through and do this predatory lending, all because, keep in mind, why were they able to do that? Because during the Bush years, we deregulated to give people these loans. Had that happened during, this wouldn't even have happened during Clinton's time. You know why? It would have been illegal.
Legal, yeah.
It would have been illegal.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, you can say, oh, well, it's a mistake they made. I'm going to tell you it wasn't a mistake. I'm going to tell you to Google in the 1990s when we used to have savings and loans. Remember savings and loans that were all throughout Detroit?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they were all gone?
Yeah.
And taxpayers bailed them out? Look who set that up. And the same reasons that they went out of business is what happened in 2008. They were giving risky loans to people. They were deregulated. And guess who was the head of that? George Bush's oldest son.
Well, I know the bushes were somewhere in the bush.
I'm just, Google it. Google it. You'll see it.
Because she has another question.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I just want to make sure I understand as far as what happened with the movie industry. So are they still coming to the city of Detroit, to Michigan, or is all of that now gone? Is that no longer, they don't have the incentives no more, or
That's what
has that
happened.
really changed?
Let me explain what happened. Under Governor Granholm gave the movie industry tax breaks that made them, almost forced them to come to Detroit. That's why we had all these movies made at the old train station and in Grosse Pointe and in different places. Now keep in mind, not only did the city get that money because the people were coming there and working and paying the income tax, etc., but also what was happening, all of our hotels were loaded. We had people who were doing catering and food service and lighting and background drops and all that stuff. They were coming in and even buying up properties in order that these companies from out of state would have a home base here. And it was really helping the city of Detroit because that's where they wanted most of the movies made. Now, of course, it happened in other parts of the state, but most of them were here. The governor, when he came in, stopped it. He was point blank asked, why are you doing that? He would never give a straight answer. Ask him today. I've never heard a straight answer from him.
Still can't get one.
Okay.
So do you have an idea, what would he think is bad about that? I mean, I know it's just your opinion.
Well,
No one would hold you to it, but why would that be bad?
because I think he wanted to gain control of Detroit,
That's right.
That's
and
corrupted the game.
he wanted to. There's another reason. There's a couple pensions that are highly invested, or were highly invested, are highly invested in the movie industry, and they're pensioners who are the same people that he taxed. So I believe that it's a way to get back at the little guy, the people who didn't support him.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for your honesty. I really appreciate it. I enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Okay,
You're
keep
welcome.
watching now. Keep watching.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Okay. And that is something.
I think
And
you got
one
another
thing.
call coming in.
Okay. And one thing we need to do, vote. You know, you sit at home and this is the repercussion for not voting. You got to go out and vote. Like a Venera would have been in office, but many of us stayed home and didn't actually. Welcome to the show. You have another question?
I was asking again to explain what type of wages was this like to work? What type of wages will workers here in Michigan have? And can we compare this to the wages of Mississippi?
Well, one of the things you have to recognize is whenever you have the right to work, you become more of a at-will employee. People are less likely to join unions because they're going to be less powerful. But even when they do, they don't have the power that they do when everyone's paying to be represented. Okay, that's very important. Now, what have they found? I wish I would have brought that sheet, but it's always lower in right-to-work states than in places that have a union. Because what happens, for example, I'm a state of Michigan employee, I've retired from the state of Michigan. But what would happen to us through the years is when General Motors and Ford and Chrysler got a raise, we got a raise. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they set a standard of living throughout the state.
Amen.
People don't even realize, how it affects everybody else around the state. My parents had lived up north, and one of the things that people used to call people from General Motors, they always liked for them to come up. Why? Because they had money and they'd spend it. Well, guess what? The people who weren't in unions, people who needed wells dug or wanted their house fixed up or served in the restaurant or did something up north, they loved it when people from Detroit came up, or anyone who worked at one of the big three. Why? Because they had money, they had the dignity and respect, they knew what it was like to work for money, so they paid people fairly, they didn't try to cheat them. That's what happens. You create a better society when people feel the dignity and respect of a good wage, a good job, decent wage for a decent day's living.
See, I think what happened is that people, when they say right to work, is ambiguous. They're not understanding what it means. They think, okay, right to work means I have a right to work. But it's misleading for a lot of people. So that's why you sit at home and you didn't go out and vote. Well, it was a proposal anyway. But right to work does not mean that it's going to give everybody an opportunity to work. But you did give you an opportunity to work, but you would not have any benefits. You will employ you. They can come and lay you off, and you have no recourse. Welcome again to our show. Go ahead, speaker, caller.
Yes, this is Asher again. Do you think that this will be the end of the middle class? How does this right to work thing affect the middle class salary?
Okay.
Well, it will have an effect if it's allowed to stay in place. One thing you have to realize that Indiana at one time was a right-to-work state. The legislature was changed, and they made it not a right-to-work state, and then just recently they made it a right-to-work state again. People have to wake up. They have to realize who's buttering their toast and whether or not they're putting poison on it. Because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at degrading the society. Now keep in mind, when I was talking about people having the dignity and respect of work, and I talked about the General Motors and Ford and Chrysler workers going around the state and spending money and having extra to spend it, and they would give people a decent salary because of that, or a decent wage. One thing we have to realize is when people start cheating, when people start demoralizing people and wanting to pay them $5 a day for some work and treat them like that, or when you have to work 2 or 3 jobs.
That's right. That's right.
In order to make a living that's sometimes just about what poverty level is. What happens? People don't feel taken care of. They don't feel that dignity and respect. When you don't feel dignity and respect, what do you feel? You feel fear. And once fear sets in, what happens?
That's right.
We get violence. And we get more violence. And we get people shooting each other over what? An argument about a lady friend or silly things that we see silly. But the issue is people are feeling so fearful, so much like being predatored on. And they are from the top down versus just on an individual basis, that they respond. And sometimes what they feel is very natural, but it's not the natural way to do it. They're taking their energy and channeling it in the wrong direction.
They feel boxed in, Mr. Sizzle. Because if we just notice, if we just notice what happened, if you recall, I'm also a retired state employee. If you recall, many years ago, we had so many classes: middle class, upper middle class, medium middle class. they eliminated those classes without you being able to know what happened to them. They took away the class of people, whereas they stripped you of your dignity. That's what happened. And now they brought it down to you only have two classes of people that left.
That's right.
Middle and the rich. And you got the poor. You know, they keep them down there. And you don't see them as a class because they have deprived them of so much. And they putting us with the middle class, then we'll be right down there with the poor class after a while because that's all they aiming for. We be the working poor. That's all it's doing. And I know we're tired. I understand that better than anybody because I've been fighting and marching all my life. I know you're tired, but you can't afford to get tired of fighting for your rights.
That's right.
And that's what's going to happen. And we got to keep fighting for what we believe in and what we know. And we know they make a lot of decisions in the closet. But when they come out the closet, that's when we got to fight. At some point, they throw what they come up with in the closet out on us. And once we see it coming, we got to be ready. And we got to be ready ahead of time and have the energy to fight off anything they do.
That's right.
Because we are boxed in and we are so tired of fighting. Because we think everything ought to just be equal and everything ought to be fair. Because that's the way the Lord said it should be.
Amen.
But there are people that's working against you from sunrise to sunset. And you got to be as diligently trying to find out what is it I need to fight for. And right now, nobody woke up in time to see the right to work coming upon you. This was another thing done in the closet, as Mr. Sizzle say. They had this already primed for us. And we didn't have it. You can't fight what you can't see. Since we didn't see this, it just hit us like nobody business. Union, as I would like to ask Mr. Sizzle, why is it the union? I know it's money. They wanted money. But I got to think that the union representative had a rationalization for what they did and why they...
What are you talking about? When they did the proposal?
Yes.
Okay, they led that proposal because they knew that Snyder and DeVos and the Koch brothers wanted to bring right to work to Michigan. It's not a secret. They had just done it in Indiana at the last Super Bowl. We know that was going to happen here. It was just a matter of time before he left the office. He would have brought us right to work. All the other things that they did that do not make sense, that have harmed us. You know, they want to talk about your insurance going up. But what did they do? They pulled off that helmet law.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many people are getting head injuries that are going to be vegetables that are going to cost us so much more. And they compared it to the previous year where I think they had 2 injuries, and now it's it seemed like 200 or something. And it doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? But to harm people.
Exactly.
And we've got to start looking at it that way. We have to start taking care of ourselves. When you talk about the rich, the middle class, and the poor, I'd like to ask everyone here on the panel, don't you believe in the 99% and the 1%? Because here's the question. As a middle class person, if you lost your pension or your job, how many months would it take you to enter the poor class?
That's it.
Months. I'm not asking years. How many months would it take you to enter the poor class?
That's right. And some people are living from paycheck to paycheck.
Right
So
now,
it's not even
that's
going
what
to
takes
take
2 months.
You're not even going to take just 1 month.
There you go.
That's
Exactly.
I mean,
Paycheck
so
to
when we
paycheck.
want to feel like, oh, I'm privileged, think again.
That's right.
Think again. We better start aligning with everybody who's not in that 1%.
Amen. Amen.
And the next thing, like I think someone asked a question, what can we do? you can know these candidates as much as possible.
As much as
At
possible.
least read upon the candidate. Many times we don't know anything about a candidate until we get to the poll. And when somebody passing us out information, then you rush in there. You exercising your right, but you don't even know the candidate. So make sure you know something about these candidates.
And
we're gonna
make
try
sure
to
you
have some on
ask the
show.
right questions, not what hairdo they have or
That's
what
right.
kind of clothes they're wearing,
That's right.
but what are they going to do for you?
That's
How
right.
do they feel about making sure that somebody has a bowl of soup every day?
That's right.
And
what
healthcare.
have they been doing in the past? Because if you haven't done anything in the past, that's a prerequisite that you're not going to do anything in the future.
And you
so
also
you need to know
check their
these
background,
candidates.
do
Know
research.
something.
Can I just say something that I think is very important for us to think about today?
Yes.
Yes.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt was a very wealthy man. Okay? Franklin Delano Roosevelt decided to make Social Security. What is Social Security? Social Security is nothing other than having the Ford Trust Fund, the Romney Trust Fund, the Roosevelt Trust Fund. He was wealthy and he knew that his family over the years put money into trust funds. And by
Yeah.
putting them in trust funds, the money was there for the kids and
Kids, that's
everyone
right.
after
As
a number of
time
years.
go on, yes.
So what he did on a government level was he said, okay, when we're working as workers, let us start taking part of our checks and creating a trust fund so that when you're disabled or you get too old that you can't work, you're going to be taken care of. And we're going to do it with our money, not nobody else's, our money, our sweat and tears,
That's right.
our burden of everyday working experience, put into that trust fund called Social Security. That's our money. If they want to do something with it, they ought to first look at a law to rob the Ford Trust Fund, the Romney Trust Fund, the whatever other trust funds are out there that the wealthy people have. Not to touch our trust fund. There's another trust fund that I think is very important that we need to take the example of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and begin to say, we're not going to let anybody touch
touch
this
it,
one
yeah.
either. And that is Medicare.
Yeah.
We
right.
need that when we're working,
Yes.
we pay
Yes.
into a
That's right.
healthcare
Yes.
system that by law is not
Not
controlled
controlled.
by an insurance
That's
company,
That's right. That's
does
true.
not
That's
have
true.
anyone but doctors
That's
telling
true.
you what kind of health care you have, and we
Every
keep that
time.
money protected
Every
from
time.
That's
profits and robbery, but is only used for health care.
That's right.
And we better start realizing that even now with the president, as he's calling for investigation into the brain, that this is going to be done with federal dollars, and that there is so much that can be done and has been done with federal dollars. Keep in mind all the research projects that went on with cells, those stem cells,
Stem cells
was
research.
all done under a program that
Yeah.
started, I think it was with Reagan. And over the years, because it was our money that did it, we've developed all these great innovative things in medicine. The same thing's going to happen when we do it with the brain. And we, again, have to realize that we can set up a trust fund like we did Social Security to take care of us not anytime that we're sick, if we do it when we work.
Okay, we have one other call. Go ahead, caller. What's your question or comment?
I really enjoyed it, guys. But I want to ask you, do you think that the Democrats are doing a good enough job in explaining the seriousness of this legislation? I don't think the people out here, I don't think people really realize the dangerous
Situation we in. We don't.
I don't think it's allowed or to trust the Democrats. So, just like that.
Well, I've heard a lot of Democrats speaking up against it. You know, we've got to recognize that both Representative Peters and Representative Conyers have spoke up against these things, and they've even went in about the emergency financial manager and whether or not it was legal, some of the stuff that has been done. The problem is we end up with a news media that doesn't report this. If you notice, I think even today or yesterday, There were people who tried to stop traffic on the expressway in protest of the emergency manager. A number of them got tickets, but you know, nobody's saying what some of the stuff is that's happening.
That's true.
Common persons don't realize that the legislation is being prepared to cut billing or cut funds to Wayne State University and to the other college. I don't want to say which one it was because I'm not certain which, but it was a major college, in retaliation for them living up to the law and implementing a contract that takes them away from the effects, long-term effects, of the right to work law. So they're pissed off. So they want to make our children suffer because they're pissed off at some administrator? Think about how ruthless that is, how horrible that is.
Okay, you know, we had a wonderful show today, Right to Work. We enjoyed all your calls to come in. It was just really awesome, very informative, and we're just going to briefly go over our sponsors because we want you to patronize our sponsors. We're just going to do it briefly so we can get off the air. Just briefly.
Okay.
Just give us a brief.
I'm going to go back. Welcome back. Ronald Cross is the ministry of Metro Central Church. You could contact them at 313-640-9970. Location is at 4455 Barham. The next church is Linwood, Church of Christ. And you could call them at 313-868-7795. The address is 14001 Linwood. And our next church is Liberty City Church of Christ at 10624 East Jefferson in Detroit, Michigan. And number is 313-898-2016. And we have Standard
Rehabilitation.
Thank you. Incorporated, located at 15785 Livernois in Detroit, Michigan. Zip code 48328. Dr. Bello. And again, they accept all HMOs, and you can contact them at 313-934-2623 or 313-934-2656, Monday through Friday, and open on Saturdays as well. And then last but not least, Sister United. We are the Family Sister Center Ministry, and our website is sisterunitedoutreach.org. You can donate through sisterunitedoutreach.org. Again, you can donate at sisterunitedoutreach.org.
On PayPal. Make sure you tell about PayPal. Just click on PayPal.
Let's Talk Family is on the internet at www.motowngospelradio.com, Saturday at 6 o'clock live, and Comcast on Fridays. Tune in on Channel 20 at 11 o'clock a.m. Right. Again, the website is sisterunitedoutreach.org. Donations through sisterunitedoutreach.org. Again, and thank you, and you have a good evening.
And to add to that, don't forget the veterinarian. Dr. Hurley is the head veterinarian there at the center. You can reach him at 863-5350. And don't forget the audition for the talent show. Also, you can send your applications. Go on there first and get it. Send it before the 20th of April to www.sistersunitedoutreach.org. And then you click on the home page, www, and you can contact us. Okay?
All right.
That's how simple it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Remember, Tuesday, April 16th, 7 o'clock at Sacred Heart Church, I-75 and Mac, behind the McDonald's. Michigan Alliance to Strengthen Social Security will have a representative from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid talking as a panel and answering any questions. Thank you.
Don't forget, we've had a marvelous show today, so don't forget to call in next week. 313-615-6323. We have really enjoyed you today, so tune in next week. Remember, there's no problem or situation that God cannot resolve. And we love you, and guess what? You can't do anything about it.
Amen.
Have a blessed day.